Welcome to day 5 of the 120 days of Nobel's literary pilgrimage. On this literary pilgrimage, this ultimate book lovers challenge, you and I will together read all 120 winners of the Nobel Prize for Literature, every one there has been since 1901. What a thing to be able to say that you've achieved. What a lifetime achievement of reading that is. Now, you won't read every work by every one of those 120 winners, but you will at least sample a little bit, hopefully in both English, my native language, and the original written language of the writer over those 120 days. I'm going to be releasing a video with one winner per day over these 120 days, leading up to the announcement of the 2024 winner in October in Stockholm. And in following the story of the prize, we're learning a lot about the cultural and social and political history of world literature, world culture, of world politics, really, since 1901 and even a little bit before. Some of these early Nobel Prize winners were born in the first half of the 19th century. And in the last video, we learnt how the Nobel Committee had awarded 2 prizes in 1904. One to the, not French, but Provençal poet Frédéric Mistral, and the second winner in 1904 was this gentleman wearing a top hat and a monocle and looking the absolute epitome of the cultural aristocracy of Europe in the 19th century, if not the early 20th century. Who is this man? Well, he came from Spain, and you should not judge a book by its cover. This Nobel laureate, far from being some sort of a literary toff, was also a civil engineer, a mathematician, a statesman, a politician that is, and one of the leading Spanish dramatists of the last quarter of the 19th century. I had never heard of him, but before doing this literary pilgrimage, I'd never read him before doing this literary pilgrimage, but I have read him now, and his name is José Echegaray, born in 1832 and lived through to September 1916. He came from a highly educated family. His father was a doctor and professor of Greek, and his mother, sadly, in my historical research, all they were able to tell me, although I'm sure she was very influential in José's life, all I'm told is she was from Navarra. He taught engineering, mathematics, stereotomy, hydraulics, descriptive geometry, differential and physical calculus. I remember doing differential calculus and I hated it. But he was also a very typical 19th century liberal political intellectual, doing public works and promoting free trade and the new ways of, I guess, the modern European nations, the then modern European nations. He became a minister in the Spanish Republic in 1868 after it overthrew the monarchy, and was a founding member of the Republican Radical Democratic Party. You weren't expecting this when you saw his picture first up, I'm sure. Over 6 years, he held ministries in that Spanish government, including education, public works, and even the dreariest of all things to most writers, finance. He was effectively the treasurer of Spain, and between 1867 and 1874. But when the monarchy was restored, the Bourbon Restoration in 1874, he retired from politics. So he's early Spanish Republican, very serious and senior politician, and very practical person. So where does the literature come in? Well, as you might have guessed from the address, his first love beyond politics was the theatre, and it is his dramas that he is best known for. It is his dramas he is best known for. Let me read from the start of one of his best known plays, and you can go a bit further into this wonderful Spanish dramatist and very curious man, José Echegaray. Scene: Madrid of our day. Prologue: a study. To the left, a balcony. On the right, a door. In the middle, a table strewn with papers and books and a lighted lamp upon it. Towards the right, a sofa. Night. Ernest, seated at table and preparing to write. Perhaps José's alter ego here. Nothing. Impossible. It is striving with the impossible. The idea is there. My head is fevered with it. I feel it. At moments, an inward light illuminates it, and I see it. I see it in its floating form, vaguely outlined, and suddenly a secret voice seems to animate it, and I hear sounds of sorrow, sonorous sighs, shouts of sardonic laughter, a whole world of passions alive and struggling. They burst forth from me, extend around me, and the air is full of them. Then I say to myself, 'tis now the moment. I take up my pen, stare into space, listen attentively, restraining my very heartbeats, and bend over the paper. But the irony of impotency. The outlines become blurred, the vision fades, the cries and sighs faint away, and nothingness encircles me. The monotony of empty space, of inert thought, of dreamy lassitude, and more than all, the monotony of an idle pen and lifeless paper that lacks the life of thought. How varied are the shapes of nothingness, and how in its dark and silent way it mocks creatures of my stamp. So many, many forms, canvas without colour, bits of marble without shape, confused noise of chaotic vibrations, but nothing more irritating, more insolent, meaner than this insolent pen of mine, nothing worse than this white sheet of paper. Oh, if I cannot fill it, at least I may destroy it, vile accomplice of my ambition and my eternal humiliation. Thus, smaller and still smaller. And then, how lucky that nobody saw me. For in truth, such fury is absurd and unjust. No, I will not yield. I will think and think until either I have conquered or am crushed. No, I will not give up. Let me see, if in that way. And so begins the dramatic soliloquy, the monologue at the start of this play by the 1904 joint winner of the Nobel Prize for Literature from Spain, José Echegaray. I bet you weren't expecting when you saw that top hat and monocle to be able to identify so closely with this writer who portrayed in the early 20th century the classic moment that anyone who's either writes a YouTube script or writes anything at all experiences from time to time, that moment of writer's block. Do make sure you subscribe and subscribe to the channel and like and share this video, and you can watch the entire playlist of 120 days of Nobels as it slowly comes online or retrospectively after the marathon is completed. This great marathon Ultimate Book Lovers Challenge is completed simply by watching this video, watching this playlist of videos right here.